Hello, my loves. Today we're going to look at some more Reddit stories, and if you've enjoyed a Reddit story, why don't you consider hitting the subscribe button? Maybe that's the notification bell too, and let's start with today's story. My girlfriend took a break from me and spent the summer with another guy, so she could be sure I was the one. My Sam 23-year-old girlfriend, Zoey 23-year-old, left me to be with another guy 2 years ago. She did this because she needed to be sure I was the one. I was absolutely devastated. This was a premeditated decision. In the spring of that year, we were both in college and had been together 6 years at that point. I was unaware, but she had been conversing with a guy in class. Feelings grew. She swore she never cheated or did anything physical or even met him outside of class, but they did have a lot of text conversations for the months leading up to her revelation. Just as the semester ended, she sat me down and told me she was going to go stay with him for the summer. He had just finished school and was moving to a new city and had an apartment lined up. She was going to stay with him for June and July, then return for our senior year. She offered me her phone and said I could read everything that was there. She wanted me to know she had not cheated. I was a mess. I love her immensely and did then as well. I was begging her to not do this. She tried to be as comforting and consoling as possible, but at the same time was steadfast she was going to do this. Her main reasoning being we had only ever been with each other, and she needed to know she wasn't missing out. I couldn't even begin to guess how many times she said she loved me still saw a potential future, and this was just to be sure. She even encouraged me to date. She left 5 days after this conversation. I tried so hard to get her to stay, but she went. I worked and did nothing else those entire 2 months. I didn't socialize, I barely ate, I barely slept. I went from 185 pounds to 165 pounds. She asked me to not contact her. I respected that. I was living in her apartment, everything was a reminder, a trigger. It was the worst, most painful time of my life. I knew she would return, even if not for me. We still had a year to go in college. And she did return. 1 week sooner than expected. It was a Sunday and she just showed up at the apartment. She broke down in tears upon seeing me. I was so much thinner, eyes sunken, mildly unkempt. The apartment wasn't disgusting, but it wasn't nice either. She told me she knew just from looking at me that she had destroyed me. We both cried for a long time. She was so apologetic. She said she knows now, she wants me and only me. I was more than willing to take her back. We had a tense honeymoon phase upon her return, where we were both tiptoeing around each other. Spending lots of time together, but also having this elephant in the room. That lasted a month or so when I started having the anxiety attacks. This is when we finally started to address some of the issues, which we had largely avoided. It couldn't have been timed worse as we started back to classes about this time as well. Over the next 9 months or so I became more and more depressed. I was verbally abusive at times. Zoey took it, everything I said. She always tried to reassure me, always took responsibility. I asked all the time what I had lacked. What could I do better? Why wasn't I good enough? What more did she need? She always said I was great the way I was. That she made the choice she did, not because any fault of my own, but out of her own immaturity. We discussed what her life those 7 weeks was like. Obviously it was a full sexual relationship. They went on dates, they slept in the same bed, showered together, that was our thing, at least to me it was, talked about where this was going. I didn't think the wondering, the mind movies, would be easier to deal with than the truth, but I have a lot of days where I wish it was still just my imagination. The hardest part to cope with is she told me she returned early for me, but at the same time, after his initial 6 weeks he was offered the same position at another branch. That branch was about 5 hours away. Initially he was only about 40 minutes away from our campus. They talked and decided that while this had been fun, he wasn't sure it was worth continuing long distance. She told me she had mixed feelings, which was to her an indicator to return to me and try and redeem herself. I, on the other hand, now endlessly wonder if she would have come back at all if not for him moving. That brings us to a year ago. I was still easily triggered. I still had my moments of name-calling and verbal outbursts. She always went into support and reassurance mode. But not this time. She teared up and said, "I deserve it, but I can't keep doing this." I realized then I was going to lose her again. I don't want to lose her, it was so hard the first time. I love her so much. At that point I rug swept everything. I stopped bringing it up. I stopped talking about my feelings about this, except in the most vague ways. If she brought it up or checked in on me, I played it off, told her I was doing good and was in a different place now. We got engaged 6 months later. We just got married 2 weeks ago. Zoey has been everything a man could hope for this last year. I have regained my trust in her, and she goes out of her way to love and support me. I am a rising star at the office. I've been really pushing hard at work. I take on all the toughest jobs, and I have been hitting it out the park. I just got promoted, and with it a substantial raise. On top of that, I have made it a point to exercise regularly and eat well every day. I am in better shape than I ever thought I would be. With all it said, I make it point to spend as much time together with my now wife. Even if she just wants to chill and watch TV, I'll massage her shoulders or feet, play with her hair, soft touch her arms or back. The little things she likes. The response has been huge. She can't keep her hands off me. We are doing small trips together, and our non-physical intimacy is consistent and deep. But it's all born of insecurity. This is my problem. I am so driven at work, and the gym, and in the kitchen, and with my wife, because I am so terrified she will leave me again. I sometimes look up the guy on social media. Just to make sure my career is going better, it is, that I am in better shape, I am. I don't want her to feel bad. I still feel so guilty of how I acted that first year we were back together, but it's hard pushing like this all the time. I'm just so afraid if I slip even a little, I'll lose her. I just got to stay focused, and enjoy the little moments of rest that come. If I do that, I think I can make sure no one beats me again. Zoey and I just celebrated our 1-year wedding anniversary last month. Our relationship is going very well. We bought a house. She's always asking me how she ended up with such an amazing husband. I have been busting ass extra hard lately. I hit a big bonus at work, and her job is doing well, although she has a lot more work stress now. I've been doing my best to help take the home stress off. Generally, getting up a bit early to make sure the house is back in order before we head to work each day. I don't want her spending her time thinking about that. I still remember how she said the guy was a bit of neat freak. She said that like it was a negative, but actually her quote was, "He was kinda a neat freak," which was nice, but made me feel all this pressure. Meaning she really liked that the place was always clean while she was with him, but I bet he got bent out of shape if things were left out by her. At least that's what I think she meant when she said that. That's why I get up early and take care of the place. I fix any mess she made or any dishes left overnight while she sleeps, that way she doesn't feel like it's her fault, or like I'm bothered by the small messes she makes. It's working well. We went to Hawaii for a full anniversary vacation, which was a place we've always talked about wanting to go to. We did a lot of touristy things, but mostly I was able to catch up on sleep. I normally only get 4 to 6 hours a night. So the extra helped out when I took on this really big client at work. If I do well on this one, another promotion could be in order. I rarely check on what the guy is doing now. His career hasn't grown as fast as mine, I can tell, and he has a bit more of a belly now. I know I'm beating him, he can't compete with me anymore. Zoey brought up trying for a baby soon, which is exciting. We can afford it, and it seems like the right time. However, I have been having some thoughts. Maybe you can weigh in for me. She has gotten pretty close with an older coworker, Mrs. Weaver. Mrs. Weaver was telling her about some funny stories from the times she was pregnant. They had to do with her husband making silly mistakes, but she also told Zoey how he was super supportive throughout each time. Zoey said she thought this was a sweet story. I don't know exactly what she meant by sweet. It made me feel like her priorities are changing. It may not be enough to just be fitter and more successful than the others. I know there's at least one single dad at her office. To show her I can outdo him and any potential others, I started reading some books on how to best support your spouse through pregnancy, some do's and don'ts, a few other newborn books. I do this on my breaks at work, so that it doesn't interfere with the rest of my routines. Or I listen to podcasts while working out. I doubt most men are this proactive, and really doubt the guy would have been, and the coworker is a single dad, so there's got to be something wrong with him, right? I mean, that's a red flag in itself. Unlike me, I'm all green flags, all the time. Do you think I have anything to worry about? I had almost forgot about this. I got on Reddit today because it came up on a Google search. Clicked and my profile worked. I see it's been 3 years since the last time I posted. We are the proud parents of an 18-month-old, Steven. He is perfect. Now that Zoey doesn't breastfeed anymore, I'm able to get up solo and take care of Steven. I mean, I always got up when Zoey did all those times before to help out, but now Zoey is a lot fresher. She keeps telling me it's okay to sleep in, since she is a stay-at-home mom now. But I'm still using a lot of that time to clean up the house so she can stay focused on Steven during the day. I got another promotion, my salary and benefits are huge now. It does mean I have some availability to handle problems outside of hours though. We will try and start taking trips again or go for baby number 2 soon. It took a little bit of time to conceive, but I made the necessary adjustments to help it happen. We had a major setback one night. I had only slept like 14 hours in 4 days, I was exhausted and stressed. Zoey made best effort, but I just couldn't perform. The next day I made some major adjustments. I started eating Brazil nuts for the selenium, choking down spinach, added some green tea for the caffeine, balanced out my lifting with cardio. This was hard to do, because one day we marathoned the 3 Jumanji movies and she said The Rock was hot. Which was huge wake-up call because this whole time I had been trying to have a more balanced physique, but now I know she prefers that big bulky look. So I've been trying pack on pounds of muscle, but then I needed to get my cardio up again to prevent another incident while we were trying. It's all worked out so far. With the baby now, I had to focus more. I created a schedule to make sure I was doing all the things I needed. So every day of the week has something in every category. I plan every meal for everyone each day, I've assigned a different room of the house each day, and I have 14 activities to do with my wife or my child and I pick one each day. I also program my workouts to fit around all this. I know last time I posted people kept warning me that it was impossible to keep up at the pace I was going and I'd eventually burn out. But I haven't, I'm still keeping up, even here 3 years later. And most of that time has been with either a pregnant wife or a newborn. I also haven't heard her even mention someone else since the Rock incident. So I must be doing something right. I don't know anyone I'm not better than at everything. With all that said though, I need to do better at hiding my distress sometimes. That I guess is my biggest problem. Zoey has been asking a lot about why I'm endlessly driven, why I won't let her help more. Stuff like that, I'm pretty good at diverting those questions and explaining them away. However, this week she actually asked me if I wanted to talk about her leaving that summer, and that she feels I rug swept the whole thing. I think this all stems from when she heard me crying one night. I thought she was asleep, but wasn't. I managed to cover it up, so no real harm. I can't let her know why I am like this, then she will go, I still remember it, I deserve it, but I can't keep doing this. That's what she said. If I falter now, I may as well kiss my marriage goodbye. I've failed. It's all fallen apart. This last year, she has been pushing me. Ever since she became a mom, she became more aware of my habits. She wants me to see a therapist. She even offers couples counseling. I don't need a therapist, that implies there's something wrong with me. How can there be something wrong? I do it all, I've done it all forever. I tell her I'm fine, I don't know why she won't accept that. She keeps saying I don't sleep enough, I have workout addiction, I seem paranoid, I have no social life. I do those things to give us the life she wants, I stay fit for her, I'm not paranoid, I am just diligent of others. She has been going on about our lives and I point out how well I've handled everything all these years. Why does she think I can't now? I can keep going, I don't need a break. And yeah, I faltered today, but they'll never have to worry about that happening again. It was her, she brought up the past more and more. She thinks it stems from when she left, and maybe it does, but I don't want to go back there. That was so long ago, and I've done so well since then. She just won't let it go. She keeps apologizing and telling me she loves me and wants the best for me. I know all that. She says I can't keep this up, says she knows how I feel, says I need help. She doesn't know. No one knows. Then this morning happened. It was just once. She went grocery shopping, I stayed with Steven. I was focused, I was playing with him. Then we started watching Spidey and Friends, and just sitting on the couch. I didn't mean to fall asleep, he was right by me. Zoey came home, found him in the kitchen, he had gotten into 2 boxes of cereal, it was everywhere. I popped up, immediately began to help, apologized. She scooped him up, told me to stop and relax. But there was this huge mess. She said I was manic, that this was what she was talking about. That I need to rest, I need to talk to a therapist. I snapped. I screamed at her. I told her to drop it, to appreciate what she has, that I was fucking fine, and wasn't some loser who needed help, I was better than that, better than everyone. She just stood there and took it. Then she looked me right in the eye and said, "Do not scream and cuss at me, I know you are struggling, it's okay, go lay down. You need to rest." Then she grabbed Steven's go bag, took him and started for the door. I asked where she was going, she said, "Just rest please, I'm going to my mother's, I'm just taking a break." A break. I just stood there, quietly, watched her walk out. She needs a break. The last time there was a break it broke me. I have done so much and it wasn't enough. I still failed to protect my son and that's it, she's not coming back. I failed as husband and a father. I texted her brother. Asked if he would come, he said he will be here in an hour. That should be it then, for those of you who followed me all these years I guess you were right, no one's good enough, not even me. I've never posted on here before, but for those who followed my husband Sam over the years, I am Zoey. I linked his last post to this one. I'm only doing this because a lot of you showed him tremendous support, which I appreciate, and hope that anyone who finds themselves going through crisis like he was will get help. Those who followed him know that 6 months ago we had an incident where he fell asleep while watching our son Steven. I wasn't angry, and I didn't blame him. I knew he was having a hard time. I was afraid. I had been trying to get him to get help for a while at that point, and with the emotion on the moment he snapped and lashed out. He hadn't done so in many years. At that point I made a horrible mistake I regret more than all my other life regrets combined. I was frustrated, but thought a little space would help us both diffuse. I was calm, I told him I just needed a break. I meant just for a few hours, and we went to my mother's house. I never should have left him alone. About an hour and a half later I got a call from my brother. He was so distressed. He had gotten a text from Sam asking for some help in the basement and to just let himself in. That's where he found him. He had hung himself from the basement ceiling. I hate that I couldn't see it sooner, years went by before I really started to notice. It's just so hard when you're young. I was working too, we were trying to buy a house and have kids, travel. It was a whirlwind. When Steven came I started to stay home. That's when I finally noticed. There had been hints, I just didn't want to see it I guess. You just don't want to admit things to yourself. You want to think he did all this just because he wants to. You think you're reciprocating it. Reading his posts, I didn't even realize how much I missed. I know he was actively hiding his stress and habits. I know he rug swept all his emotions that could be taken negatively. But there were hints, why couldn't I see them? I'm the catalyst of his descent. I know I didn't deserve him after what I did. I've felt that shame for 8 years now. I've done everything I could think of to repent for my choices. I won't justify them, I was wrong, and I hurt someone I love beyond measure. I'm sure some of you wonder how I could do that to him. I wonder that myself often. It's easy to throw out the usual excuses, I was young, I was immature. To tell you the actual truth, it really was just FOMO. Combined with having a few friends in my ear, which I now realize they were not friends, and a schoolgirl crush on a classmate was all it took for me to traumatize the most important person in my life. It sounds so dumb written out, but it's true. The NRE lasted about a month, then it was 3 weeks of making up reasons to see it through. By time I left, I knew I had made a huge mistake, and came crawling back. I still shudder thinking how much I compartmentalized. The sight of him when I showed up has always haunted me. It's guilt I deserve and will always hold on to. For all the remorse I feel over what I did when I was 21, it pales to the feelings I have not being able to help him before it was too late. I think I have read his posts almost every day in these last 6 months. I failed him so much, I'll hold on to this pain for the rest of my life. I'll have to watch our son grow up without his father. Nothing will ever fill this void. I don't know what I wanted to accomplish with this, though it's been surprisingly cathartic. Maybe this will help someone else, someone holding on to something they can't handle on their own. If that's you, seek help, it's not weakness, it's strength. No one is perfect. No one can do it all on their own. Story, a beautiful love story, unexpected twist at the end. Jake and Mia met under a blossoming cherry tree, where laughter and smiles exchanged like petals in the wind. Their eyes spoke volumes, and their hearts danced to the same beat. Through shared stories and stolen glances, a connection as beautiful as the setting sun bloomed between them. As days turned into weeks, they explored the city, hand in hand. Each alleyway, every cafe, and every museum held a new adventure, as if the world was waiting for their love to fill it. The way their fingers intertwined, an unspoken promise of togetherness. One chilly autumn evening, raindrops gently kissed their faces as they strolled along the riverbank. Seeking shelter, they found solace in an old bookshop. Inside, they discovered a hidden world, the pages of books telling tales of love, adventure, and dreams. Mia gifted Jake a leather-bound journal, a canvas for his thoughts and a testament to their love. He filled it with verses, expressing the depths of his affection. Mia, in turn, painted vibrant canvases, capturing the colors of their shared emotions. Seasons changed, but their love remained constant, like the North Star guiding sailors through the night. The snow-covered streets became their playground, as they embraced the warmth of each other's company. In the spring, a surprise picnic by a field of wildflowers, with a handmade bouquet as the centerpiece, marked a milestone in their journey. Jake's eyes sparkled with emotion, and Mia's laughter echoed like the sweetest melody. With time, their love deepened, transcending words. It was in the way they cared for each other, the way they supported dreams and wiped away tears. A connection so profound that no obstacle could break it. In a quaint chapel, surrounded by family and friends, Jake and Mia exchanged vows, sealing their love with a kiss. It was a celebration of a love story written in the stars, a tale that touched the hearts of all who witnessed it. Jake finally asked Mia a question that had been on his mind for a long time. He asked, "By the way, what is Mia short for?" Mia replied, "Oh, it's short for Michael." And so, their love story, like a timeless melody, continued to unfold, a testament to the enduring power of love, written in the language of their hearts. Story, The First Boy I Loved. Once upon a time, in a small, picturesque town, there was a charming little school where children's laughter filled the air, and dreams were born every day. In this school, there were two students, Emma and Jack, both in the 5th grade. Emma was a bright, cheerful girl with a heartwarming smile and a love for books. Jack, on the other hand, was a shy boy with a passion for drawing and a talent for making people laugh. Their story began on a crisp autumn morning. The school bell had just rung, and students were bustling about, getting ready for class. Emma, carrying a stack of books, tripped over a loose stone on the path and fell, scattering her books everywhere. Jack, who was nearby, rushed to help her. "Are you okay?" Jack asked, offering his hand to help her up. Emma looked up, slightly embarrassed but grateful. "Yes, thank you," she replied, taking his hand. As Jack helped Emma gather her books, they started talking and discovered they had a lot in common. Both loved reading adventure stories and drawing imaginary worlds. From that day on, they became fast friends. Every day after school, Emma and Jack would sit under a large oak tree in the schoolyard, sharing stories and drawing together. Their friendship grew stronger, and they became inseparable. Emma loved how Jack could make her laugh, and Jack admired Emma's intelligence and kindness. One winter afternoon, the school announced a talent show. Emma and Jack decided to participate together. They spent weeks preparing a skit based on their favorite adventure story. Emma wrote the script, and Jack designed the costumes and props. They practiced every day, laughing and encouraging each other. The night of the talent show arrived, and the school auditorium was packed with students, teachers, and parents. Emma and Jack stood backstage, nervously holding hands. "We can do this," Emma whispered, squeezing Jack's hand. Jack nodded, smiling. Together. Their performance was a huge success. The audience laughed and cheered, and Emma and Jack beamed with pride. After the show, they received a standing ovation and a special award for their creativity and teamwork. As they walked home that night, under a sky full of stars, Emma and Jack felt a bond stronger than ever. They knew they had something special, a friendship that would last a lifetime. Years passed, and Emma and Jack grew up. They went to different high schools and then colleges, but they never lost touch. They continued to share their dreams and support each other through life's ups and downs. One summer, after they had both graduated from college, they returned to their hometown for a visit. Walking through the old schoolyard, they found themselves under the same oak tree where their friendship had blossomed. "Remember our talent show?" Jack asked, smiling. Emma laughed. "How could I forget? It was the best night of my life." Jack took a deep breath, gathering his courage. "Emma, there's something I've wanted to tell you for a long time. I think I've loved you since that day we met." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She looked into Jack's eyes and saw the same kindness and warmth that had always been there. "I love you too, Jack," she whispered. Under the old oak tree, where their innocent, school-age love began, Emma and Jack shared their first kiss, sealing a promise of love that had started with a simple act of kindness and had grown into something beautiful and everlasting. And so, their story continued, a testament to the power of friendship and love that started in the heart of a small, picturesque town and blossomed into a lifetime of happiness together. The story of first love. Just read a touching story about a person's first love and decided to tell mine. I left a comment in that thread, but will expand it here. We were both 17 and in California. She dumped me after a year or so for a guy she worked with. I went on to college, but every now and then, she would find me through mutual friends when she got dumped. She always did the same things, called me all the time or wanted to hang out and, of course, wondered what it would be like if we got back together. I had no intentions of getting back together and would only hang out when I had nothing better to do, and only as a friend, preferably with other friends. She would always try to make it seem as if we were a couple, though. One night after an outing with friends, she didn't want to go home, as it was kind of far from where we were, and asked to stay at my place. This was an apartment I shared with another student, a great guy, but we had our own rooms and a living room with a comfortable couch that many friends had crashed on. When we got there, she went right to my room and started undressing. I excused myself to the bathroom and closed the door. I didn't go back to the room, I just slept on the couch. I really didn't need the emotional roller coaster that she was, distracting me from studying. I took her home the next morning, and she acted like everything was normal. After that, I didn't hear from her again. But that's how it always was. Eventually, she would disappear because she would get back together with whoever. After college, I got a good internship in Florida. That led to a great career and repayment of my college loans, a starter house, and a decent car. At 30, I met a nice, never married, no kids woman, not that there is anything wrong with that, who I have been happily married to for 23 years. I'm 53 now with 2 adult sons who have solid careers. Then, about 2 months ago, out of the blue, she called me at work and wanted to reconnect. I'm not sure how she found my info. I know there are ways, but I have done my best to leave a small footprint on the internet. Probably it's because my boss insists on posting our names and positions on our website. Anyway, I told her I wasn't interested and I was sorry. She tried to play it off like I didn't know who she was. I assured her I did know. There was a long pause, then I asked her to please not call me anymore. I heard her sob and I hung up. Later, I got curious and asked a friend to look her up on Facebook. I don't have any social media other than where I can remain anonymous. To me, long-lost friends are long-lost for a reason. Anyway, it seems she recently divorced from the guy she dumped me for and lives about an hour or so away from me now. On her Facebook page, she had pics of herself and her adult son, and a few pics of her son's wedding with her ex on the other side of the room from her. I felt a little sorry that her life is a mess in her 50s, but these were her decisions that led her there. I'm not saying it would have been any better if we had gotten back together. I wouldn't change my life after 30 for anything. Yeah, I did a few things in my 20s I'm not proud of. Anyway, my wife would never accept reconnecting with my ex, and I would never do that to her. I did tell my wife about it, as I don't want any misunderstandings between us. Sometimes unsaid, seemingly trivial events can get taken out of context. My wife shows me her phone and asks if it was this person. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. The display of her phone shows my ex's name and number. My wife tells me the woman asked for me, but my wife told her it was the wrong number and hung up. My wife does not like me talking to women she doesn't know, and some she does. She thought the whole thing was funny in the end. Side note, I took that girl to my junior prom and still have the pic. My wife has seen it and could care less about it, but when she saw my senior prom pic, she attempted to rip it up. Sigh, because the girl in my senior prom pic was Asian, and my wife is also Asian. I just pretend to understand how that works. Story: I cut ties with a longtime friend of mine because I couldn't keep the friendship anymore after an incident between us. Here's why. I never expected to find love in a place I dreaded, but life has a way of surprising us. The homeschool group was a last resort for my parents, a desperate attempt to find a community where I could thrive with academic freedom and find peers with whom I could be social. However, my initial experience was anything but positive. The people there were awful and shallow. Despite their claims of being Christian and inclusive, their structure mirrored a cult more than anything resembling Christ and His love. They certainly put the weird into the homeschool stereotype. Twice a week, I dragged myself to the group, dreading the interactions with my peers who seemed to find joy in excluding and ridiculing me. I only found solace in leaving the school day early and engrossing myself in a book as a distraction to avoid the coldness of the others. Yet amidst this sea of unkindness, there was one boy who stood out. He was tall, with thick black hair and piercing eyes that seemed to see right through the facade I put up to protect myself. His presence was a beacon of kindness in an otherwise hostile environment. I first noticed him when our eyes met in the hallway. There was something disarming about his gaze. It was soft, curious, and unlike the judgmental stares I had grown accustomed to. At first, I tried to ignore him. The negative impressions the entirety of the group left on me were too strong to allow any positive feelings to surface. Moreover, he shared the same name as someone who had been awful to me for years, a bitter reminder of past pain. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't help but notice him. He seemed to be everywhere I turned, always looking at me with those gentle eyes. He wasn't in my class, but he often found reasons to come into my classroom, goofing off with his friends. His antics were playful, his laughter infectious, and yet, he always seemed to be watching me. I would catch him staring, a soft smile playing on his lips. Despite noticing him, I refused to acknowledge my feelings. I buried them deep, convinced that falling for someone in this group would only lead to more heartache and hurt. Weeks turned into months without a word exchanged between us in person, but fate had other plans. We connected over social media, and soon we were texting every day. Those messages became the highlight of my day. We talked about everything, from our favorite movies and books to our dreams and fears. It felt like I had found a kindred spirit in the unlikeliest of places. Our late-night phone calls became a ritual. We would talk for hours, sharing stories and secrets, laughing and sometimes crying. I felt a bond growing between us, a connection that was deep and genuine. Yet, I still rejected his advances, effectively friend-zoning him. I was scared to let my guard down, scared to admit what I was falling for him. But he was patient, kind, and lovingly persistent. As we got to know each other, we shared more about our lives, our likes and dislikes, and our long-term goals. Surprisingly, we had much in common. We would pray together and for each other, and he showed me love in the most genuine, kind way without expecting anything in return. I was hooked, even if I didn't want to admit it. Eventually, I couldn't deny my feelings any longer. I confessed my love for him, and to my relief and joy, he felt the same. We began to date, albeit minimally, as we were both very young with strict parents. Our relationship was innocent and pure, built on a foundation of mutual respect and shared faith. Never had I experienced love the way he loved me. He listened to me attentively, with such care and genuine interest in what I had to say. He encouraged and comforted me through all the family issues that burdened me and always guided me toward Christ. Despite our apparent immaturity, our love was genuine and deep, and we were committed to growing together in our faith. Every moment with him felt like a gift, a precious memory to be cherished. His love gave me strength and hope, a light in the midst of my struggles. Our happiness, however, was short-lived. One day, he told me that his family had decided to move across the country. The news hit me like a ton of bricks, leaving me devastated and heartbroken. Despite our young age, I truly felt he was the one I was always meant to be with. Our connection was not based on infatuation or lust, but on a shared desire for and rootedness in the Lord. As if this news wasn't enough, girls around us, fueled by hatred and jealousy, started nasty rumors and began harassing me even more than they had before. The drama escalated, adding to the stress and pain I was already feeling. The combination of his impending move and the relentless harassment and lies from others broke us. I became bitter and devastated, fearing that I might never see him again. The days leading up to his move were a blur of sorrow and longing. We spent as much time together as we could, which ended up only being once, trying to make the most of the moments we had left. He held me close, whispering promises of staying in touch, but deep down, we both knew that things would never be the same. Then, the day came when he left. Him and his family, whom I had only met once but instantly fell in love with, were gone forever. Never before had I experienced such physical pain from immense sorrow. I felt my heart tearing apart. I had heard of people dying from heartbreak, and I fully believed this would be my fate. Compounding my grief was the fact that my home life was horrible, filled with constant fear and tension. My parents' arguments echoed through the house, and I lived in a constant state of anxiety. The sanctuary I once found in my room now felt like a prison. The weight of my sorrow was overwhelming, and I couldn't escape the pain. I fell into a deep depression, barely eating and working out an unhealthy amount to keep myself out of the house and away from my family. Exercise became my escape, a way to numb the pain and avoid the constant reminder of what I had lost. My phone, once a lifeline to him, now felt like a cruel reminder of the amazing man who was no longer in my life. I avoided it as much as possible, unable to bear the sight of our old messages and photos. For a time, bitterness consumed me. I was angry at the world, at my circumstances, and at the people who had driven us apart. But his wise character always shone through any clouds that loomed. Even in his absence, his influence remained. He had set the standard for what a man should be, for how I wanted to be treated, and for the type and level of connection I desired in a relationship. Despite our separation, I found myself speaking about him to everyone close to me. My entire circle knew of the amazing boyfriend who had sadly moved away. They knew of my sorrow, his sweetness and wisdom, and how, even in his absence, I remained in awe of him. I recounted our story countless times, each retelling solidifying his place in my heart. Years went by, and I tried to move on. I dated other people, but no one compared to him. No one could ever compare to him. Each new relationship felt like a pale imitation of what we had shared. I found myself constantly measuring others against the impossible standard he had set, and they always fell short. I tried to convince myself that I was being unrealistic, that I needed to let go of the past, but my heart wouldn't listen. Eventually, I settled and tried to make peace with the fact that I would never experience such perfection again. I met someone else, someone who was kind and seemingly loving, and I tried to build a future with him. We planned our lives together, a home, a family, future children. I loved him, but never as fully or deeply as I had loved the boy who had moved away. The spark, the connection, the profound understanding that I had shared with him was missing. As the years passed, I continued to cherish the memories of my first love. I realized that he had taught me invaluable lessons about love, faith, and resilience. His presence in my life, however brief, had left an indelible mark on my heart. Even though we were separated by distance and time, his influence remained, guiding me and shaping my understanding of what true love should be. In the quiet moments of reflection, I often found myself wondering what could have been. I imagined a parallel life where we had stayed together, growing and evolving side by side. But life had taken us on different paths, and I had to accept that. Still, the love we shared remained a cherished memory, a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of genuine, heartfelt connection. Then, I began being bombarded, nearly daily, by videos of interviews with the elderly. They were asked about their regrets and what they wished could have been different in their own lives. Many of them spoke about the one that got away. This struck me profoundly. These were people who had lived long, full lives, yet their eyes still held a glimmer of sadness and longing when they spoke of a love they had lost or let slip through their fingers. Watching these videos became a sobering ritual for me. Each story resonated deeply, like echoes of my own unspoken fears. The elderly men and women spoke with such raw honesty, recounting their lives filled with achievements, family, and adventures, yet always circling back to the one person they couldn't forget. They spoke of fleeting moments, missed opportunities, and the relentless passage of time that eventually solidified their regrets. It was in those quiet moments, listening to their heartfelt confessions, that I saw the path laid out before me. I knew that my future would mirror that of the elderly men and women in the interviews. The one that got away. I envisioned myself many years down the line, having accomplished my life goals in career, motherhood, monetary, and travel pursuits. I would have a successful career, a loving family, financial stability, and a wealth of experiences from around the world. Yet, despite these achievements, I knew a shadow of sadness would linger. At the end of my life, I would still feel a pang of unaccomplished longing, a void that success and fulfillment in other areas of life couldn't fill. I would have spent a lifetime not fully knowing or experiencing being loved in the way I had with him. I would miss the feeling of being witnessed by another, sharing the depth of my soul with someone who truly understood and reciprocated. The simple joys of life, appreciating the little things, laughing at inside jokes, and finding comfort in shared silence, would feel incomplete without him by my side. I imagined the unspoken conversations, the mutual understanding, and the sense of belonging that comes from being with someone who truly gets you. It was more than just love, it was about a profound connection, a partnership where we could indulge in life's beauty together. The thought of never experiencing that again filled me with a sense of preemptive sorrow. Little did I know, the Lord had a plan. The Lord always had a plan. In my moments of despair and longing, when the future seemed bleak and my heart felt heavy with regret, I had forgotten that my life was being guided by a higher power. The Lord's plan was always at work, weaving threads of hope and redemption through my story, even when I couldn't see it. The realization that my journey wasn't over, and that love and fulfillment could still be part of my future, began to dawn on me. Little did I know that I needed the time and experience with someone else to grow. In the aftermath of our separation, I found myself navigating through other relationships, each one serving as a lesson in patience, kindness, and love. However, I wasn't always the best version of myself in those relationships. There were moments when I said and did things I later regretted, moments that required excessive apologies and sincere efforts to make amends. It took those years away from my true love for me to realize the depth of my shortcomings and the areas in which I needed to grow. Through the heartache and challenges of those relationships, I gradually matured, not only as a partner but also as an individual. I learned to be more patient, more kind, and more caring, qualities that were essential for nurturing healthy and fulfilling connections. But perhaps the most significant growth occurred in my spiritual journey. It took time away from him for me to truly rely on God, to surrender my fears and doubts, and to trust in his plan for my life. As I immersed myself in prayer and sought solace in my faith, I found strength and healing in his unwavering love. Yet, the path to spiritual and emotional growth was not without its obstacles. There were months and even years filled with heartache, sorrow, and betrayal, each one testing my resolve and challenging my faith. But through it all, I clung to the promise of redemption and restoration, believing that God's plan for me was greater than any setback or disappointment. Then, after 6 long, agonizing years, fate intervened once again. My love returned to the state in which I still lived. The mere thought of seeing him again filled me with excitement and hope, even if it meant that no romantic relationship would result from our reconnection. I prayed fervently, seeking God's guidance and surrendering to his will. In the 7th year of his absence, in the 7th year of waiting and longing, the Lord's will unfolded before me. It was as if the number 7, often associated with completion and perfection in biblical symbolism, held a profound significance in my journey. In that 7th year, my hopes and dreams, which had been held captive by time and circumstance, were finally realized. As I prepared to reunite with him, I couldn't help but marvel at the mysterious ways in which God works. His timing, though often beyond our understanding, is always perfect. In those moments of anticipation and uncertainty, I found solace in the knowledge that his plan for me was unfolding exactly as it should. With each passing day, my faith grew stronger, my heart more steadfast in its trust in him. And when the long-awaited reunion finally came to pass, I knew without a doubt that it was the culmination of God's divine plan for our lives. In the 7th year of his absence, the 7th year of my journey, I found completion in his grace and mercy. I didn't need to be with this man again to find joy and fulfillment. The mere prospect of reconnecting with him, of having the opportunity to speak again after so many years apart, was enough to fill my heart with gratitude and happiness. I trusted that whatever the outcome, whether we rekindled our romance or simply remained friends, it would be according to God's perfect plan for our lives. As we reconnected and caught up on the years past and miraculous changes, we began to see the hand of divine intervention weaving through our lives. It was as if God had orchestrated every twist and turn, every moment of separation, to lead us back to each other. What a great and merciful God we serve! One of the first remarkable coincidences we noticed was how we had remained on each other's minds throughout the years apart. Despite only dating for a brief 5 months, he had occupied my thoughts for the entire 6 years we were apart. I found myself wondering about him, praying for him, and often pondering how he would respond to various situations life presented. And to my amazement, the feeling was mutual. He, too, had kept me close in his thoughts and had even considered me a standard for what he desired in a partner. Furthermore, the circumstances surrounding his unplanned and rapid move back paralleled my own reason for being single once again, safety concerns regarding the people we were living with. It was as if God had orchestrated our paths to align once more, removing the barriers that had kept us apart. Throughout the years of separation, there were also numerous uncanny occurrences that seemed to defy explanation. An influx of people with his exact name entering my life, so many that even my then-partner remarked on the frequency, knowing it reminded me of him. It was as though the universe was constantly reminding me of his presence, preparing me for our eventual reunion. The night before our long-awaited coffee meeting, I had a conversation with a friend about favorite scents. I described a particular scent that would occasionally waft by, a scent that inexplicably reminded me of home. Little did I know, my love and his roommate were having a similar discussion at the same time, discussing the importance of scent to women and how it often evokes feelings of comfort and familiarity. And when we finally met, as we embraced in a heartfelt goodbye, I unintentionally caught a whiff of his scent. It was the same scent I had described, his natural musk, the scent of home. After all those years, I had still remembered his scent. But perhaps the most inexplicable and profound connection we shared was the instant understanding we had of each other. It went beyond mere attraction or physical appearance, it was as if we could read each other's minds. Countless times, he would, and still does, look at me without saying a word, and I would know exactly what he was thinking. Our minds were in sync, our souls intertwined in a way that defied explanation. In those moments, it became clear that our reunion was not just a coincidence or stroke of luck. It was a testament to the power of divine intervention, guiding us back to each other and reaffirming that our love was meant to be. As we marveled at the intricacies of our journey, we knew that our connection was nothing short of miraculous, a beautiful testament to God's unwavering love and grace. As we reconnected and delved deeper into the tapestry of our shared history, we were met with a treasure trove of small yet profoundly meaningful coincidences that seemed to serve as the delicate threads binding our hearts together. One such enchanting coincidence was the fact that I had unwittingly set all my passcodes to be his phone number. It was a simple act done without much thought many years before, but it carried a weight of significance that resonated deeply within me. His digits became my digital touchstone, a constant reminder of his presence in my life, even as the tides of time ebbed and flowed. In return, he adorned his world with symbols of me, incorporating my favorite color into his artwork like strokes of love painted across a canvas. Each was a testament to the enduring bond we shared, a vibrant reminder of the beauty that blossomed from our connection. But the symphony of serendipity didn't end there. It seemed that the universe conspired to sprinkle our path with moments of enchantment, weaving its magic through the fabric of our lives. License plates bearing the insignia of the state to which he had journeyed appeared with astonishing frequency, like gentle whispers from afar beckoning me closer to him. My mother, attuned to the significance of these chance encounters, captured them in photographs, each image a snapshot of the enduring connection that transcended distance and time. As we embraced our reunion, we discovered even more delightful nuances that mirrored the depth of our connection. From sharing favorite flavors of candy to speaking the same love languages, every revelation served to deepen the bonds of affection that bound us together. Our souls danced in synchrony, moving in perfect harmony as if choreographed by the hand of fate itself. Even in the minutiae of everyday life, we found echoes of our shared history and a reaffirmation of the enduring love that had weathered the storms of separation. Simple habits, like folding pizza before indulging in its cheesy delight or meticulously balancing eggs in the carton, became cherished rituals imbued with layers of meaning that spoke volumes about the depths of our connection and similarities. In each of these small moments and subtle gestures, we found solace and joy, knowing that our love was not just a fleeting emotion but a timeless bond ordained by God on high. As we marveled at the beauty of our shared journey, we knew that every twist and turn had led us to this moment of sweet reunion, where our hearts beat as one in perfect harmony. In the gentle embrace of our reunion, as we basked in the warmth of each other's presence, the air seemed to hum with a sense of sweet anticipation. Every moment spent together felt like a precious gift, a chance to rediscover the depths of our connection and explore the mysteries of our intertwined destinies. Amidst the tapestry of remarkable coincidences that seemed to adorn our reunion, there was one revelation that shimmered with a brilliance all its own. It was the tender caress of his lips upon mine, the gentle brush of his fingertips against my skin, that stirred within me a longing I had never known before. For in the embrace of his kiss, I discovered a depth of passion and desire that had eluded me in the arms of others. It was as if every kiss was a symphony of emotions, each tender touch a testament to the profound connection that bound us together. In his arms, I found solace, comfort, and a sense of completeness that I had searched for in vain elsewhere. And as our lips met in a dance of longing and love, I knew with unwavering certainty that the tender touch of him was all I ever truly desired. With each passing day, our bond deepened, blossoming like a delicate flower in the light of newfound love. We embarked on the journey of rediscovery, peeling back the layers of time to reveal the tender shoots of affection that had taken root in our hearts. Every shared laugh, every stolen glance, became a testament to the enduring strength of our love, a love that had withstood the test of time and emerged even stronger on the other side. As we navigated the complexities of rekindled romance, we found solace in the knowledge that our love was not just a fleeting emotion but a steadfast anchor in the tumultuous sea of life. We leaned on each other for support, drawing strength from the deep well of affection that flowed between us. Together, we faced the challenges of the present and the uncertainties of the future with unwavering courage and boundless optimism. In the quiet moments of togetherness, as we held hands and watched the world go by, we marveled at the beauty of our shared journey. Every twist and turn, every obstacle overcome, had led us to this place of profound contentment and unbridled joy. And as we gazed into each other's eyes, we knew with certainty that our love was not just a chance encounter but a divine gift, bestowed upon us by a benevolent Creator who had woven our paths together with threads of destiny and purpose. As I reflect on our journey, I am overwhelmed with gratitude for the unexpected twist fate has brought. Our love story, once interrupted, has found its way back into the light. It's a testament to the resilience of love, the power of divine intervention, the beauty of second chances, and a demonstration of God's perfect timing. Our reunion isn't just a chance encounter, it's a reaffirmation of the bond we share, a bond that time and distance could never sever. It's a reminder that love, when nurtured, cherished, and rooted in Christ, has the capacity to transcend all obstacles and reunite kindred souls. As I look to the future with him by my side, I'm filled with hope and anticipation for the chapters yet to unfold. Together, we'll continue to write our love story, embracing each moment with gratitude and joy. And though our journey may have had its interruptions, I'm certain that the best is yet to come. Our forever seemingly interrupted, but never forgotten. Our love story continues, stronger and more vibrant than ever before. And as we embark on this next chapter together, I'm grateful for the twists and turns that have led us back into each other's arms. In the end, our love may have been interrupted, but it will never truly be lost. For true love, agape love, like faith, is eternal, transcending time and space to unite us in the bonds of everlasting love. And so, I will hold on to the memories of our time apart, cherishing each moment as a reminder of the strength of our connection. Together, we'll write the next chapter of our love story, embracing the future with open hearts and unwavering faith in Jesus. And as we journey forward hand in hand, I know that our love will endure, forever and always. Story, my little love story while in Europe. Hey everyone, hope everyone's a good day today. I just wanted to share my little love story that happened on my recent holiday trip. So I booked a 16-day trip in Europe across 9 countries in early December through Contiki. I went into the trip hoping to meet a lot of new people and see/experience a lot of things in Europe, and sure enough I experienced and met a lot of interesting and friendly people that I spent 16 days traveling with. I met this wonderful girl, let's call her Grace, on the first day of the trip, and we sat next to each other on the bus. As we talked and talked throughout the bus trip, I became very fond of her and would spend the next few days of the trip with her, not exclusively but part of a small group. Days went by and I had started to develop feelings for her. Now I've never been in a relationship before, and I'd say I'm quite inexperienced with the whole flirting game, because my way of dealing with these kind of feelings is to just sit on them or just flat out ignore them. However, I've been on a bit of a spiritual journey this year with regards to self-love and self-discovery, so I thought, what the hell, I'll shoot my shot, as I probably have a very low chance of seeing her again after the trip finishes, as we all go our separate ways. So if it happens, it happens. Grace had her birthday coming up soon and we be in Rome together to celebrate it, so I decided I'll buy her a thoughtful gift and tell her about my feelings for her, but at this point I didn't know what to get her. About 4 days before we got to Rome, we were in Prague and I was visiting/seeing the infamous Charles Bridge with Grace and a bunch of other people. While we were there, Grace kept going on about how the Spider-Man Far From Home had a scene on this bridge featuring Tom Holland and Zendaya. I'm a vivid Spider-Man fan, so I knew instantly what scene she was talking about. It was the scene where Tom takes Zendaya out for a walk on the bridge and then tries to give her a gift and confess his feelings for her. This was my light bulb moment. I knew what I wanted to do now. We were going to be in Venice in a couple days, and I know in the movie Tom Holland buys a black dahlia flower necklace for Zendaya. So I thought I'd try to kinda replicate that and try to buy the same necklace for Grace. So a couple days go by and we end up in Venice. At this point I'm so excited because I've never done something like this for anyone before, and for once in my life I'm actually trying to do something about my feelings for someone. Anyways, straight after the tour of Venice in gondolas, I head out on my search for the necklace on my own. I went into every glass shop I could find as I was walking around the streets of Venice, but I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for. Hours go by, and it was soon time to leave the city of Venice, yet I couldn't find anything that I was looking for, but thankfully half an hour before we were due to get in the ferry and leave Venice, I found a shop that had a beautiful necklace that had a black flower as the central piece, and I knew as soon as I saw it that it was the one. It wasn't exactly like the one in the movie, but it looked similar enough so that she'd know where it was from and the meaning behind it. So I left Venice feeling accomplished. A day later we're in Rome. Finally the day had come. I was very excited, but also quite nervous, as this was in the realm of the unknown for me. I mustered up the courage to ask her to see her alone. We met in the lobby and I suggested that we go for a walk outside. So we went on a walk. I asked how her day was going and what she got up to today, as we had a free day in Rome. Soon after that conversation I told her that I got her a birthday gift and promptly handed her the wrapped box with the necklace. As she opened it, she realized what the necklace was and where it was from almost immediately. She stopped walking and asked, "Is this a black dahlia necklace?" And I replied yes. She opened up her arms and asked me for a big hug. It was one of the best hugs I've ever received, and then I told her about my feelings for her. She told me she kinda knew already from other people. I told a few other people on the trip, but she wasn't really looking for anyone at this point, as she had a really bad break-up earlier in the year. She had also started to distance herself from me prior to this day, but I didn't really try to think of it much. Anyways, I understood her perspective on the matter and thanked her for her honesty. On the way back to the hotel, she told me she felt bad for saying no, and I told her that she shouldn't feel bad about being completely honest with me. It's for the betterment of both of us. We then proceeded to distance ourselves a bit from each other for the rest of the trip to give each other a bit of space. I didn't let this rejection ruin the rest of the trip. In my mind, I wore it like a badge of honor. I'm so proud of myself that I did something like this for someone special, even though it didn't work out in the end. Now I feel like telling every one of my friends and the whole world about this, so here I am. Everyone now and then I'd watch the Venice and Prague scene from the movie to feel the butterflies again, because I went out and did something very similar to the movie. Thanks for reading all this if you got to the end. I appreciate you. Bye and see you again in the next videos and stories.